nationalization of news, of media, of politics is something that scholars keep studying. And it's a phenomenon that my next guest refers to as nationalization of outrage. He says the nationalization of everything means there's constant fuel for the grievance fire. It's a big country, and there's always an outrage somewhere. David French authored that piece. He's with me now. He's a senior editor at The Dispatch and columnist for Time Magazine. David, I feel like this is an issue I've been noticing for a long time, and I didn't have the language for it. And then I read your column, and a couple days later I heard Obama talk about it, and it all kind of connected for me. So spell it out how you view nationalization, what that means, and why it's a problem.
Yeah, it's a two-step process. So number one, what's really important to understand is we live in something called negative partisanship. That means that a person is a Republican not so much because they love Republican ideas, but because they really dislike Democrats. Or someone's a Democrat not so much because they really love Democratic ideas, but because they really dislike Republicans. And so because we're fueled so much by animosity, there's an enormous market for justification for that animosity. So in other words, if I'm on Twitter, at any moment, there's always somebody doing something crazy somewhere. And so you can find that fuel. Oh, in Topeka at a Costco, someone yelled at someone for wearing a mask. Look what they're like. Or in Des Moines, some kid got his MAGA hat knocked off his head. Look what they're like. So you're always going to find that fuel. And what that fuel does is it actually communicates inaccurate information about your political opponent, so that there's now a lot of research that says the more engaged you are in political media, the less informed you are about the actual viewpoint of your opponents, because you're constantly exposed to their worst. You're never exposed to their best.
Right, so you're saying if you're only hearing about the most radical, like random, New York City liberal, hippie, more than liberal, leftist, hippie, if you think that's your opponent, and you have this completely wrong-headed sense of what the so-called other side is, in this nationalization of outrage, like you said, there's always some piece of content to get angry about. And it would seem to me I was talking about Fox, but it would seem to me Facebook and Twitter are very much part of this problem, because there's always something you can click on and get angry about.
Well, and honestly, we're the problem, because we engage with that content. It's not that Facebook forces us to engage with it. We're like, oh, happy to share that. Look at what they're really like. And the really interesting data says that, look, if you're less engaged with political media and you get more of your information about your political opponents through these things called friendships or relationships, you actually end up with a much more accurate view of what they really think about, say, border security, or about defund or support the police. It's the political hobbyist class that is totally focused on that negative partisanship that is really driving this nationalization of outrage, because they're so thirsty for that fuel, for the fire of their own anger.
I'm really glad you coined this term. I think you coined this term. I'm giving you credit here and now. It just helps me kind of process all these media battles that I see happen every day. And then the other layer that Obama added to it in his recent interview was about local news coverage. And there's been some great research about this as well, showing the less local news content there is in a newspaper, the less local content there is on a local TV station, the more national, hyper-partisan stuff you hear, the more that people feel disconnected from their communities. And this really relates to the local news crisis, doesn't it, David? If we as a country are not able to what's the word I'm looking for? Sustain local news, then we'll end up all going to be hearing national news all the time.
That's a big, big issue, because what happens when an issue is nationalized, you actually begin to feel both more angry and more helpless, because how much of a voice do we really have on something national? Whereas if something is local, if it's dealing with your own school board instead of some New Jersey school board, or the Loudoun County schools in Virginia that are covered all the time, then if it's your own school board, you have the ability to do much more about it than if you're looking at something like, say, the San Francisco Unified School District, and you're living in Williamson County, Tennessee, like I do. And so when it's nationalized outrage, it's also, in many ways, impotent rage. It's helpless rage, because you can't do anything about it. When you engage locally, you can do something.
It's like almost pornographic if you're living in the middle of the country and you're reading about San Francisco all the time and like the worst. And by the way, there's problems in cities. There's problems everywhere. But if you read about them constantly, you're going to blow them out of proportion. And by the way, you mentioned Loudoun County. Fox is focused on critical race theory, on Loudoun County parents speaking against it. NBC had a great story this week about critical race theory concerns at the national level, then trickling down to local. So you're seeing that the flip side maybe of this nationalization issue is stories then go to local levels. Communities get polarized locally because of national fights. Is that a part of this layer that we should have mentioned as well?
Well, what happens is people get very angry and then go engage locally very angry about something that is not happening locally.
Right.
And so you'll hear a story about something in New Jersey, and it could be a bad story, or you could hear a story about something happening in San Francisco, and maybe the school district there is really wrong. They did something bad.
Yeah.
And then you charge into your local environment, and nothing like that is going on. And so it's very important, I think, that people look. It's not that stories about what's happening in other states and cities and jurisdictions don't matter. Some of them spawn, for example, legal precedents that do matter. But we need to keep it in proportion and perspective that a masking incident in a Costco 300 miles away does not necessarily tell you all that much about the United States of America.
Or anything. David, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.